Hello and welcome. My name is Karen Robertson and I'm the founder of The Lean Life. And today I'm going to let you in on the exact process that I used to drop 6 kilos in 2 months to get into the best shape of my life for my wedding earlier this year. Now, let me give you a super quick background about myself. I've been working in the fitness industry for the past 20 years. I have a passion for helping women become the best version of themselves through smart nutrition and effective exercise. It's taken me a long time to work out the best way to make weight loss happen. I've tried a lot of different things, but the good news is that because I've tried all these things, I now know the best, the smartest, and the fastest way to help you achieve the body that you've always wanted. So, as I mentioned, today I'm going to let you in on the exact process that I used to drop the 6 kilos in 2 months and to get ready for my wedding earlier this year. And the best part about all of this is that I lost the 6 kilos eating more than ever. It was so good. I wasn't hungry at all throughout the process, and that's what I want to share with you today. So, what was the secret? There really is no secret, but the plan that I followed is that I followed a macronutrient plan, which meant that I was fueling my body with exactly what it needed. But before we get into that, I want to have a quick chat to you about why most diets fail. Now, I want to give you an analogy. Let's say you take your car out of the garage and then drive it in a straight line without turning any corners or stopping at any lights. So what's going to happen? You're going to crash the car pretty quick. It's for this exact reason that any form of diet will generally fail, because life just does not work on a straight line. Weight loss plans are created with you being told to do exactly this or exactly that. They're destined for failure because they really don't take into account life. They don't take into account sick kids or being under extreme pressure at work. So it's for this exact reason that I do not believe in diets. My whole food philosophy is around learning the skill of knowing what your body needs and then giving that to your body. It's as simple as that. To lose weight, you need to burn more calories than you eat. It is simple, but the problem is that people overcomplicate it to the point where they just think it's too hard and they give up before they really get in a roll. So, how do we know what your body needs? Drum roll, please. It's macros. So, what on earth are macros, I hear you say? So, put very simply, macros are protein, fats, and carbs. If you get the balance right of the right macros, your body will not only be running super effective, but you won't crash and burn at 2 p.m. You won't get crazy sugar cravings, and you won't feel hungry. It's so interesting that while most people have a general idea of what macronutrients are, there is still so much confusion out there on the subject. But that's okay, because I'm here to break it down and to simplify the concept for you, so you leave this presentation knowing a lot more than before it started. So let's hit it with Karen's Macros 101. The first thing to understand is that macros are just a form of energy. The body measures energy in calories. So how much energy is in each macronutrient? Well, protein and carbohydrates contain 4 calories per gram, while fats have 9 calories per gram. And the other macronutrient that we're not going to talk about today is alcohol, but just so you know, alcohol has 7 calories per gram. Macros are pretty straightforward, but that doesn't stop the confusion being out there. Have you ever heard someone say, not all calories are created equal? This is an excellent example of a lack of understanding of the science of nutrition. A calorie is just that, a calorie, and a calorie is just a measure of energy. Macros are so important when it comes to wanting to make changes within your body composition, because as you've seen already, protein, fats, and carbs all play an important role in powering your body and giving you energy. While eating clean is a good start, I hope you can agree that to eat clean and expect to have any control over what happens of your body is just not giving you the control that you possibly can have if you follow a macronutrient diet. So with that being said, let's have a look at how we track your calories. So how do we track your macros? First of all, it really is a good idea to track. I'm sorry, I know you don't want to hear this because no one likes tracking, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Just as I said earlier, using intuitive eating or being good gives you no measurable baseline to work from and gives you no room to move as to where to adjust your intake when being good stops working for you. A common misconception is that tracking macros is inaccurate and just way too hard. But the thing is, having an idea of what you're feeding your body rather than just guessing is essential. Now, I do agree that tracking can be very daunting to start with. People always ask me when they're starting out questions like, which tracking app should I use? Which food entry in the tracking app should I use? How much pasta is on my plate? What kind of pasta is it? What ingredients are in the sauce? Should I track it raw or cooked? I could go on, and yes, I totally agree, the struggle is real. But here's the good news. Despite all the potential mistakes you might make when you start to track your macros, the point of tracking macros isn't to know exactly how many calories you're eating. The point is to be consistent. This means it doesn't exactly matter what food entry you use for, say, chicken. As long as you use the same entry every time you have that same chicken, you're going to be getting consistency in your tracking. Believe it or not, being consistently wrong is way more useful than just being wrong. All you need to do is to try your best to be right, and over time, that will give you all the information you need to be in control of your own body. So I'm going to give you my top 3 tips when it comes to tracking, because using these tips will really help you get started. Number 1, always use weight over volume. Now by that, I mean, think about half a cup of rice. We could either log this as weight or as half a cup. As you can probably tell, there'll be way more room for inaccuracy depending on how tight you fill the half a cup of rice. That's why using a grams measure, or in other words, a weight-based measure, would be much more accurate to track. Weight doesn't lie. It is what it is, and it takes all of the guesswork out of the equation. Number 2, practice makes tracking more accurate. I'm not going to say practice makes tracking perfect because, like I said earlier, it's not about being perfect. The more you track and get used to the weight of different foods, the more you'll be able to recognize them. For example, if you cook your favorite bowl of pasta at home and track the weight that you're eating, you'll get a very good idea of how much weight is in it. Having this skill will help you have an idea of how much to eat when you go out and order at a restaurant, and not be the crazy person who takes their scales with them when you go out. No judgment if that's what you want to do, because it has crossed my mind to do it a few times as well. Number 3, and this is a good one. Don't get caught up in tracking everything. This is going to save you so much time. Here's the thing, a bowl of broccoli has hardly any calories. So unless you're tracking to understand your micronutrients, I'd skip the hassle of entering them in. Likewise, when tracking a recipe, only track the items that are really going to make a difference. Let's say you're going to make some healthy tacos. Do you really need to track the coriander? Do you really need to track the lettuce or the lime juice? No, just track what makes sense to consuming energy. So, moving on, how do I know what my macros are? How do I know what percentage of protein, fats, and carbs I should eat? Well, there are a couple of ways you could go about this. Of course, working with a coach that is skilled in this area is the best way. Remember what I said about the car that leaves the garage in a straight line? Well, this is how macros work. To get the best and the quickest results, I can calculate the macros for my clients and watch their progress on a regular basis. If we find on a week by week basis that the macros aren't giving us the results we want, we change and we adjust them. We adjust and we pivot until we find the exact number that is going to work for you. If you do want to get started with macros though, there are plenty of macro calculators out there on the internet that will give you your generic macros. But just remember, the trick is this is an ever-changing part of your life and needs to be watched very closely on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis so you know when you need to adjust what you're consuming. So another question I often get asked is, how do I lose weight using macros? The trick to weight loss is to know exactly how much you can eat in a day without gaining or losing any weight. This is called your maintenance weight. Knowing this information is crucial to not being hungry when you place yourself in a calorie deficit to lose weight. It's so interesting to me that so many clients I start working with, when we start tracking, we realize that they're only consuming a mere 1,200 calories a day. What you find when you start to give your body exactly what it needs in terms of the right macronutrient breakdown is that you'll be eating a lot more than you used to. So which tracking app do I use? Now this is something that I could talk about all day. My favorite app in the world is Cronometer. So the reason I choose Cronometer over something like MyFitnessPal is because of the way that they source their information. So with MyFitnessPal, for example, all of the information in their database is crowdsourced information. So for example, I could make an entry for, say, apple, and I could decide that that apple is 300 calories. I could enter that, and that would be one of the options that are there for you to select. Now, 300 calories for an apple is not necessarily going to be accurate. The reason I love Cronometer is because all of the information in their database is approved by their head office. So they have a system and they approve all entries before they're allowed to be used in the app. So therefore, so much more accurate. When I started tracking, I first started using MyFitnessPal. When I switched across to Cronometer, I found I was able to eat at least 300 more calories because the tracking was more accurate. And eating more food, of course, makes me very happy, especially if it's not making me put on weight. So, how does tracking macros make me feel? I'm going to be honest with you. To lose 6 kilos in 8 weeks, I worked hard. I was eating a lot of food, so I was doing a lot of food prep, and on the agenda every day was food. I was always thinking about it, and I was always planning what was next just because I had to consume so much. I got very good at bulk cooking and storing all of my meals and staples so that I always had something in the fridge. The thing is, weight loss is never easy. Weight loss, losing weight, changing your body composition, it's not easy. But remember, this knowing the information is what gives you the data you need to move forward. So I knew going into this plan, I knew exactly that I was in a 400 calorie deficit a day. So therefore I knew exactly how long it was going to take me to meet my goal. I think towards the end, I was finding that I needed to speed it up a little bit. So rather than drop more calories, I ended up adding in more steps. So I didn't have to eat any less because I didn't want to. Remember, maintenance is a very comfortable place to be in your life. If you can work out your maintenance calories, therefore start experimenting with macros and tracking and entering things into Cronometer and just seeing what you're really having, you will be so surprised and blown away with how much you can eat. Now remember, when losing weight, being in a calorie deficit is only for a short period of time. So you're not going to feel like that forever. You've got to get in, you've got to work hard, and then you've got to get out and then put yourself back to maintenance. Now, I hope this information helps. Please remember that if this is something that you're considering or thinking about, there has never been a better time to start. I promise you that once you learn this life skill of tracking your macros, knowing exactly what breakdown of protein, fats, and carbs your body needs, it's going to be a game changer for you because not only are you then in control of what happens to your body, You're not going to be hungry and you're not going to get the sugar cravings. So important to keep everything consistent. I'm very passionate about macros because knowing this information really has changed my life, and I love being in control of what I know I am putting into my body to feed it for fuel. I hope this helps, and I really look forward to hearing from you, your feedback. And if you'd like any more information, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much.